Make sure to unmute.
I'm sorry.
It's
I
okay.
thought that I was muted. I'm so sorry. All right, so today gonna start the chapter 2. We're gonna talk about my kingdom is not of this world. And the first subject is about the future life. When you talk about future life, like being a human being, the first thing we think is about our future in general, but not only about what's gonna happen in the future with the world, but the human being, the mankind, we are always stuck with what is gonna happen with us in the future. If you're gonna have more material things, if you're gonna have more money, if you're not gonna have money, if you're gonna have health, if you're not gonna have health, we always concern what's gonna happen to us. It's like we concentrate to us. So that's I believe, I wouldn't say a problem, but I think it's a characteristic of the human being, the man in general. But here, this chapter, it brings us what actually Jesus came to this world to bring, what actually is the real meaning of the future life, what he would like us to understand about the future life. And then once you would understand that, we would not be concerned about the material things, and most important, like just for us, like we would stop being more selfish. So starting here, why it's not going? Okay. Okay. So at John 18:33, 36, and 37, Jesus has a dialogue with Pilate. Pilate is how you say it? How you say that in English? Pilate?
Dialogue?
Pilate?
Dialogue.
No, dialogue, but the name of
Oh, the name was, his name was in English, Pontius Pilate.
Pontius Pilate. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I should say Pilate or Pilate. So, because in Portuguese it's Pôncio Pilatus. So I wasn't sure how to pronounce the Pilate. So while they're having a dialogue, Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of Jews?" And then he answers, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my people would have fought to prevent my falling into the hands of the Jews." When he says here, fall into the hands of the Jews, it's mostly important to understand here, because we all know that Jesus was Jew. So in falling into the hands of the Jews is like, it's not that Jesus didn't believe on the Jews' belief. Actually, he came to bring a better meaning of the things of the world, because he knew that there will exist much more than he already knew, knowing all the Jew culture and Jew religion. But just bringing more information, just bringing more love into all that teachings that they had at that time, it caused a lot of problems for him. So that mostly, that's the meaning of the falling to the hands of the Jews, is because they didn't accept of all the development he had towards of like the better things that the teaching had brought it already. So he just make it better. And at the time, people wouldn't understand why, because they were satisfied they knew. And also he says, "But my kingdom is not here." And Pilate insisted, "Then you are the king?" He asked. And then Jesus said, "You have said it. I am a king. I was not born, nor did I come into this world except to bear witness to the truth. Whoever belongs to the truth hears my voice. So it was mostly whoever was there to listen with love would understand the truth that was coming from his mouth, from his heart. And the meaning of my kingdom is not of this world would be, Jesus refers to the future life, but the spiritual life, not the, like I mentioned in the beginning. For us, human beings, the future life is, we are stuck more into the material things and stuck more in what is going to happen to us. We work to have, money when you're retired, or so you can enjoy life, or so you can have health, or if you have a problem with health, you have money to take care of us, and also take care of whoever we like, for parents and family and relatives. But actually when he mentioned kingdom is not of this world, actually it was always about the spiritual life. And then one thing that I question is, if us right now in 2021 cannot understand that, can you imagine this like more than 2,000 years ago? He was a brave man just to try to tell that to people. Nowadays you still like you can find people that understand that the kingdom is not here, that we are beyond to be living on earth, like we are beyond this body that we are wearing. But at that time he was super advanced for that time, that's for sure, and then super brave just for saying that to people. In the future life, the maxim can be considered the most important point of Christ's teaching. When I was studying, reading and listening some lectures to talk today, to study today here, I didn't know that, or maybe I knew and then I actually forgot, but the 4 first chapters of the gospel, according to Spiritism, are the most important base of Jesus' teachings. That once you understand these 4 first chapters, it's the base of understanding the real meaning of the Spiritism, the real meaning of all the Jesus teachings. And then I thought was very interesting that adding this one, that like the kingdom is not of this earth. Like, it's very important to know that we as a human being, we need to leave the selfish. Like, selfishness is something very bad that really make the human being be stuck and not evolve better every time that we come back to earth. So this was like something that HP, it's something that like a personal opinion, of course. Also, the future life, it must be the goal of all men. So if you're just someone that just reading that the future life, it must be the goal of all men, you would think, oh, of course, we all think in the future. We always working right now to the future. But are you working your spiritual in your spiritual inner to be a better person in the future, and also to when you leave this body, and then actually is when you're really gonna understand the real meaning of that. So the most important thing, are we all working our spiritual inner so then we become better spirits in the future? That's something that also got me questioning myself. Also, this doctrine can justify the anomalies of earth life and harmonize them with the justice of God. like we always mention, spiritism, like none of us or any religions will have all the answers, but most of the time spiritism can clarify and bring us a lot of answers for things that the whys we have in life. Why this happened to that person? Why didn't happen that to the person? And the list goes on with all the questions we can do. I feel that spiritism can clarify better, can bring us a better explanation, bringing more sense into all the good and bad that happen into earth. And all of Christ's maxims refer to this great principle, the future life, which should be the object of main concern of people while on earth. So this, he brought it like 2,000 years ago until now. We always gonna be discussing that while people don't really understand that we are just here as passengers and it's just part of our life. And it's very funny when I saw that this was gonna be the subject I was gonna discuss here, because yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine, and then we are talking how we as human beings, we are afraid of the future, that the future scares us a lot because we don't know what's gonna happen. And if you sometimes are stuck on some thoughts, the future can be very scary. And then I was telling her that sometimes it really scares me because, you know, I always I concern to my family, I concern to everybody surrounding me, that what's going to happen with the situation of the world right now, you know. So the future is something that sometimes really scares me. And then when I realized that this was going to be the subject I was going to talk, I was like, maybe something that I really needed to put myself to think of. I thought that was a very good insight. And those who do not believe in the future life, they believe that Christ was talking about the present life. Also, they do not comprehend his moral teachings or consider it vague. The right path for humankind is towards the future life, the object of people's main concerns while on earth. And the Jews in the future life, they had imprecise ideas about the future life. For them, observing God's laws was rewarding with earthly possessions, again with material things. Also, public calamities and defeats were punishment for their disobedience. Because again, before we know better spiritists, God was always considered a punisher. So he was gonna always punish if you don't do things right or wrong. But actually, it's not up to God to punish you. You decide if you want to do something good or something bad. And if you do something bad, of course, something bad probably gonna happen with you back, but it's not because God doesn't like you and he's gonna punish you. It's an action, is a reaction of some action that you had it in the past. It's kind of a back and forth. Also, Jesus in the future life, he limited himself to presenting the future life in principle as a law of nature. Recompense for the observance of God's laws are not material. And he revealed to them another world where he reigns and where the good ones will find their recompenses. The Christians in the future life, they believe in a future life, but the idea that many hold about it is vague and incomplete, and therefore erroneous on various points. Many have doubts and disbelief. With the Spiritism and the future life, Spiritism has come to complete the teachings of Christ. The descriptions are made by the spirits with all the books to decodify it. And they are so logical that the true justice of God is contained therein. With Spiritism, the future life stops being just a simple article of faith or mere hypothesis. Sorry, it becomes a reality. So when it says it becomes a reality, because we when we study Spiritism, we can see in a lot of there's a lot of proofs that there is something beyond what we are living right now, something beyond we cannot see because we are on Earth already. Of course, some people are able to, like the mediums, they have probably more, I wouldn't say knowledge, but they would know more because they have more contact with it. But like just studying it, we do know that like the Earth is just a passage through all what we have to go through it. And then we have to try to learn as much as we can, because we are just wearing the clothes, and the clothes will be the body, and the spirit, that's the real thing that matters. And then we have to heal it, the spirit. We have to heal the spirit. We have to make the spirit evolve, so then you can finally find the future life. That's what basically I could take out of this study. And then I was gonna ask if you like had the time to read it, or if you read it before this chapter, and then if you took any, conclusion.
Well, yes, I've read it before. And I was asking myself as you were in the middle of the presentation, have I delivered this presentation before? The answer is no, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, so much of this material, as you said, is foundational. And it's repeated in many other ways in many other places. So it was not like I was hearing something for the first time, even if I was unfamiliar. The second thing I would say is the presentation itself, the slide deck, very good. And you've gotten much better at English.
Oh my gosh. No, there was a lot of words that was very hard for me.
You did much better than I remember, a year ago, a year and a half ago. So very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And equally important is you've learned the English language in a speaking sense to be able to emphasize the correct words. So you are getting much more comfortable, maybe in presentations.
Maybe.
So, keep practicing, keep doing this. It's a perfect way to get good at it.
Thank you.
Again, what I was listening for is the words that you stressed, and they were the right words. It's not like that was the Portuguese spiritist version of what to think about, type of thing. So it was a very good presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
In terms of the importance of the topic, it is actually in this moment, it is difficult for me to remember when the light bulb went on, when I turned the corner, when this and many other principles became a part of me. And so, I would just say that it was in the first year of being introduced to Spiritism when the shift to the future life began and continues. And that is the future. But I did want to make one comment, and it's not to take a objection to anything you said. It's to give you a perspective that
of course,
many spiritists, as well as, of course, non-spiritists, if they believe in reincarnation, that's what they call their future life.
Yeah.
So, in general, in America anyway, and for me, when I hear that phrase future life, and throughout today's presentation, I'm thinking in my next incarnation. I'm not thinking about beyond the earth. And so, a whole different perspective when you're a lower spirit versus an advanced spirit.
No, yeah, no, I'm just what I try to understand. Of course, I know the problem will come back for sure on Earth again, that's for sure. I don't have any doubts or any questions about it.
Well, none of us.
Yeah, none of us, exactly. But like I think that this is part of our journey, like spiritual journey. And then of course, one day after, we'll learn a lot or everything that we had learned, we probably go to another,
Of course. But
planet.
there's
Planet.
there's another principle for living. That if you're going to choose to take a long journey and walk, you can only walk one step at a time, one day at a time, 1 mile at a time, 1 week at a time, so on and so on and so on. There's only so much you can do because we materialistic humans, we are restricted by time.
I know, yeah.
And time has a completely different perspective in the spirit world.
No, yeah, but I think I just like put myself ahead because I'm an anxious person, so that's why I'm afraid of the future, talking about material thing, about spiritual thing. I really hope, that my next incarnation will come back, more evolved. That would be like with no fears that I have now, and so goes on. But since I'm a very, very, very anxious person, I'm even studying spiritism, which brings me a lot of answer and comforting as well. It brings me a lot of comforting. I still have deep inside my fear of the material future, which is still on this earth with still this life right now. You know what I mean?
I do know.
That's why I mentioned the talk I had with my friend yesterday, that of course I don't think there's coincidences, and I'm pretty sure that I was the one to have to do this study, because for sure, I needed to understand better or bring, I studied this chapter before, but maybe with this fear that is surrounding me, because all this last year, COVID and uncertainties, you know what I mean? Maybe I slightly forgot, but deep inside it was still in me. So that's why when I study, I was like, you know what, that this word was for me. I always it's usually always this.
Ilola, I want to share with you on yesterday. Yeah, it was just yesterday. I presented chapter 24 of the gospel. If you have the time, you should reread chapter 24.
Okay.
But let me give you the simple part of it, the high level part of it. During our lifetimes on this planet, if you think about one step at a time, there are many principles from Jesus and from Kardec and the spirits associated with, we will learn what we are supposed to learn when we learn it. Okay. In other words, something else is in control of the pace of our knowledge. And when we are prepared to learn something new, we will be given the opportunity to learn something new. So that applies to spiritism, that applies to relationships, that applies to whatever your career is, and so on. It's not only about seizing the opportunity, it's about realizing that we have to be prepared. Okay, sometimes that's mental, physical, or even psychological preparation. Well, this chapter introduces spiritual preparation. And the spiritual preparation is, it's meant to be. accept that it's meant to be. However it comes to you, whenever it comes to you, whatever comes to you, accept that's what's meant to be. You can't speed it up. You can ask for it, but you can't speed it up. It'll come when it's meant to come.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, the chapter takes that concept and goes a variety of different directions with it. And one of them has to do with faith. But it's not fear versus faith.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want you to read. I
Yeah.
want you to read that section. It's very cool because most people think the opposite of fear is faith. Yeah, I want you to see something. There's something else there. Okay.
Okay.
And so, like your conversation with your friend was meant to be, so is the conversation we're having right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, thank you very much. By the way, I'm gonna use the chapter 24 then to do the gospel in my house that I do it on Tuesday.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I'll do it today then. That was a good hint. Thank you.
Beautiful. It is a very good chapter. As you know, anytime you get to present a chapter, you get into the depth of the chapter. You're living it type of thing. You understand it more fully. Well, that was me yesterday, and now I get to share it. So.
Yeah, thank you. No, and I think every time because we are going through again the gospel, and I think even if you've done it before the lecture or the studying, however you want to call, you always have like a different perspective. You will always have a better understanding.
Some of Kardec's books, that is so obvious, like Genesis. Genesis is so much information that I could read a paragraph at night and wake up the next morning and read the same paragraph again, and I'll have a completely different perspective of what that information is.
Yeah, so I think it's better like in the like we said it, there's no coincidence. If you had it to read that at that time, you had it to read at that time.
That's exactly right. And and again in that concept of you are prepared for what is new that is coming. What is new that is coming may be the same thing you've heard before or read before, but now it means something different to you because you have gone through this preparation phase. And the chapter talks about the preparation could be you suffered a lot. You experienced hardships, you had to learn the hard way, however you want to phrase it, to get to this point where, oh, look at this. Now I understand this differently. Now this makes sense. And all of a sudden your hardships are gone.
Yeah. That's true. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah. So basically it is that we just talk about the future life, and there's going to be 2 other subjects for this chapter. We're going to talk in other days. Yes, I think we had a good study today.
Yeah, it's very good study. Very good.
Yeah. Would you like to do the last prayer, the final prayer, or I can do it too? But if you want
I can do.
Okay.
God, we thank you for this opportunity to study, be in fellowship, and welcome those who are here to learn with us. And we humbly request permission to close tonight's session. And so be it.
And so be it. All right, Mark, thank you very much.
Laura, you have a great week.
You too.
Okay, I'll